Hi there, everyone. I just thought I would give you guys an update video because I haven't given you an update video in a while. And you guys are probably wondering what's going on. So, the long and short of it is that I am working on my biggest project to date, which is one that I don't know if I have told you guys about, but it's related to one that I told you about. Um, the most recent video at the time of recording that I have uploaded is me doing artwork of Etheria from a visual novel that I was calling. Its name was Placeholder, but that visual novel that I was thinking of making was actually based on like it was like a revisited concept uh, of this visual novel that I'm working on now called Submerged Lights. So basically, Submerged Lights is very similar to the visual novel that I was working on before. In fact, it's so similar that one of the fairy characters in Submerged Lights, is named Etheria. And later, when I was working on that revisited version, I had taken the same name. Um, so you guys have heard about this before. So in a way, so what this project is it is a 300,000 word visual novel that I'm working on. Uh, I just did it nice and easy in terms of like the structure. 50,000 word common root, 50,000 word root for all of the five girls, 300,000 words total. And I'm recording this video when I am 45,000 words done in the common root. So really, the last scene or two of the common root is just going to be the transition between the common root and the main character, Andrew, um, you know, coming to terms with, like easing him into making a choice between one of the five girls. And I've been really enjoying writing it. Uh, and I know that, um, how should I put it? Like I said, I have ADHD, and sometimes it's difficult for me to focus on one thing for long periods of time. Um, at the same time, though, this that issue has come up a little bit, but thankfully, I've been able to manage it working on this project, which is great, and I think a lot of that has to do with, I wasn't trying to do everything rigidly. I wasn't even sure when I started writing it how many love interests there would be. I was like, should there just be Etheria? Should there be Etheria and the mermaid Cephizru? Or should, and as it went on, I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense that there would be five. So the five love interests are Etheria, who is a fairy who was trapped in a lantern, who the protagonist finds in a half flooded library. He moves to this town where everything is flooded. And he didn't know that the town was flooded. It's just that he had claimed inheritance, and like his great grandparents lived in this town, which was like a little mining town out in the middle of the country, far away from everything. And part of why I'm liking this, and part of why I was thinking before that I would alter the setting. And I know I'm interrupting myself talking about the love interests, but I guess I'll just finish talking about the setting. It's, I guess, what you could call an urban fantasy, Not that it strictly speaking takes place in a city, but it's urban fantasy in the sense that it is very similar to the world that we're used to, and yet there's more going on uh, than most people think. In a way, it's similar to the Silent Column in that regard, because the setting in the Silent Column, there's a lot of stuff happening, and there's a bunch of supernatural stuff going on, but from like the normal person's perspective, just living their normal lives, uh, it's very easy to just assume that, like they live in a normal city and have relatively normal lives from our perspective. But anyway, part of why I was thinking of changing that into the other version was because I wanted it to just sort of be a pure fantasy. There were some sort of tricky things that I was thinking the revamped version could kind of just patch over. For example, in the original version, which I again I have returned to working on, uh, the protagonist's home that he inherits from his grandma is half underwater. He's able to use the second floor, but not the first floor. So when I was working on like the reimagining version of it, I was like, well, wouldn't it be nice if just his house wasn't uh like that the flood didn't quite reach his house, you know. And I did like little fixes like that to just sort of make things less messy, but I think I just sort of started to realize that it's like I think maybe part of why the original resonated with me so much is because it was kind of suboptimal and messy, just like real life, if you know what I mean. Um, anyway, now that that is out of the way, I'll just continue on talking about the love interests. So the love interests are Etheria, a fairy that you find in a lantern, who used to be used in the mining operations of the miners in the town, because it was a mining town. Sephizru, the mermaid, who the protagonist finds in the half-flooded library. And it's actually interesting because uh, another thing that I was wanting to like have an easy fix for was that it's like, oh well, what if the mermaid isn't restricted to water? What if she can like walk on land, like she has superpowers, like supernatural powers? Because that's something that appears in fiction and like myths and stuff, is that they're able to walk among people. But I kind of like the limitation that it's like, well, she's kind of stuck in the water actually. And something that I've wanted to do for a long time is that what I mean by that is something that I was wanting to do even before I started considering like a different version is that Sephizru was like a half-breed mermaid because she was the child of a mermaid and a human, right? Um, and it's like because of that, she doesn't have access to all of the things that mermaids can do. There's some discrimination between like real full-blooded mermaids and half-breed mermaids. And also she like one of the things that she can't do is join mermaids in the rest in like their cities, because their cities are really deep underwater. So she is what is called a shore skimmer mermaid. uh so there's her, and then there is Galena, who is another fairy who was rescued. And again, it was fun because writing the common route, I could kind of go either way. I could have just it could be small and focus on Etheria. It could be like moderate size and focus on her and Sephizru. And I didn't need more love interests, but as I was writing, I was just like, Galena just organically became a love interest, which I think is neat. Um, and she is, how should I put it? Etheria is more kind of kind-hearted and emotion-based, if you know what I mean. And Galena has like self-esteem issues because in the mine, uh, all of the lanterns were interchangeable. So she feels like she's interchangeable, and so she has real like self-esteem issues. But she's also like practical and wanting to help people in practical ways. For example, at one point, the protagonist uh, is thirsty, and she like says something that was really obvious that he just didn't think about for himself, of like how to get some water just so that like he has something to drink, because he was busy chopping wood so that he could make a fire to like boil some of the water so that he could drink it. And she's like, well, okay, but in the meantime, there's an easier way to get it. Uh, and I want you to take care of yourself. Like, she's that sort of person. She's an interesting character to write. Um, the fourth love interest is Coriander. And Coriander is a person who was thrown into the mouth of a volcano. The volcano that, well, I guess I shouldn't say too much. But anyway, she is a water elemental. Sort of like, think of like a slime girl, but with water. So she has like a stone, which is like a core. And whenever she comes into contact with water, she like manifests a water body. And she is able to walk around that way. After she's freed by the protagonist, that is, because up until then, she's trapped because, like I already said, she was thrown into the mouth of a volcano, and the protagonist kind of had to use a pickaxe to get her out. And the fifth love interest is Olive, and she is just super cute. So she is a harpy, and she's yellow, and she didn't know how to help Coriander, and there's a language barrier for a while with Olive, specifically between the protagonist and Olive, because obviously harpies aren't really used to talking with people. But even though she wasn't able to help Coriander while she was trapped, and they had known each other, or she had known Coriander for quite some time before the protagonist arrived to the village. But Coriander didn't know Olive because basically Coriander never looked up. She was just like, whenever it rained, she was just miserable and sad and crying because of what happened to her. And whenever it wasn't raining, she didn't have a body, so she wasn't like able to really look around. And of course, Olive didn't really attempt communication. Like, she didn't try to like talk because she's used to not talking to other people, sort of thing. But anyway, Olive wanted to help, and she wasn't really able to because she didn't know what the problem was, and she didn't know how to set Coriander free. But she still wanted to help, so of course harpies have a tendency to steal treasures. So she took some of her treasures and kind of laid them out in like a circle around Coriander because she wanted to cheer her up. And she's just so nice. uh, and what I mean by that is, the reason I'm just saying that she's so nice is because she is kind of a simple-hearted character without Like, she seems more simple than she is because of the language barrier between her and the protagonist. But ultimately, she's just a nice person with some self-esteem issues and some issues relating to a habit of theft and that sort of thing. But she cares about people who she's close to. And but yeah, so that is the project that I've been working on. I'm almost done the common route in terms of writing, and then I'm going to do all the artwork. I have quite a bit of music done, which does sound pretty good in my opinion, but I might do some more music, you know. And I figure I will work on the common route until it's done, and then once the common route is done, including all of the art assets, and that'll be a nice foundation for me to have going forward into developing the individual roots of the characters. Because, obviously all of the character artwork will be done, except for CGs. A bunch of the backgrounds will be done. And yeah. So, that's all for now. That's all I really wanted to say. I just knew it had been a while since my last update video. So I wanted you guys to get caught up on what's going on. It's possible that because of my ADHD, I might start working on other projects in the middle of working on this one. But to be honest with you, I like all of the love interests in this visual novel, and after I finish the common route, if I get if because of my ADHD I just easily get bored, I can just hop over and start working on the route of one of the other five. So, or one of the other four out of five, you know what I mean. So I don't really foresee that being an issue, especially because I like the setting. Uh, so I'll probably just work on this one, focus it until it gets done. It probably will not get done this year, realistically speaking. I feel like probably each route will take roughly 1 month to write, and then I'll spend a bunch of time doing the art assets and the music and the assembly, although not necessarily after all the writing. Like I said, I am going to be doing it after each route, but still, I don't really foresee that it'll be done this year, but it'll be done next year. And I kind of figure, uh, while I have nothing against making short form visual novels, and I know I flip flop on this quite a bit, but I think part of why I was thinking of focusing on shorter form visual novels is because I could pump them out faster and build a reputation and stuff like that, which makes a lot of sense. And it could also help me experiment with different price points that are lighter. And maybe I will do some short form visual novels in the future, but for right now, I think I want to prove to myself that I can make something big and I don't need to be scared of doing that, if that makes sense. Because I think I was getting distracted by fear and I want to really sink my teeth into it. But again, I know I say flip-floppy stuff, but yes, this is what I'm working on, and I'll give you updates as I go. I mean, I guess my next update video will be when all of the art assets, editing, music, and assembly is done for the common route. I guess I'll let you guys know what's up at that point. And then I can show you some artwork and so on. I may release the demo as... I may release the common route as a demo, but I don't know if I will do that right away as soon as I finish the common route, or if I'll wait until the entire project is almost done and then do that. But yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to finishing up the common route. So I will see you guys in the next video, and thank you for listening. I'm glad that I got to update you guys on my journey, and that some people have been subscribing, and I appreciate it, So Thank you for joining me as I do my stuff. Okay, have a good day, everyone. I'll see you next time.